Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about success. Everybody wants it. Everybody prays for it. Everybody posts about it. But very few people protect it. And if you don't protect your success before it's born, you'll never get to hold it. See, the world we live in today will clap for you and then quietly compete with you. They'll smile in your face and question your moves behind your back. So if you really want to win in life, there are some things you must keep secret. Not because you're fake, not because you're selfish, but because you're serious. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go deeper with you for a moment. When I say keep your big goals secret, I'm not telling you to stop dreaming out loud because dreams are powerful. I'm telling you to understand timing. There is a difference between vision and validation. Too many people share their goals because they want applause before achievement. They want encouragement before effort. They want to feel like they've arrived before they've even started walking. And that right there is dangerous. You see, when you announce a big goal, your brain gets a small reward. People clap. They say, "Wow, that's amazing." They say, "I'm proud of you." And for a moment, you feel accomplished. But you haven't done the work yet. That little emotional high can trick you into thinking you've made progress. Talking about the mountain is not the same as climbing it. Posting the dream is not the same as building it. Success does not respond to conversation. It responds to commitment. There's another reason you keep your big goals quiet. Not everybody around you has the capacity to understand your vision. When you share something big, something bold, something beyond your current situation, small-minded people will measure it against your present reality. They'll say, "How are you going to do that?" They'll say, "Be realistic." They'll remind you of your past mistakes. They'll list your limitations. And if you're not strong enough, their doubt will start sounding like logic. Their fear will start sounding like wisdom. And before you know it, you'll shrink your dream just to make other people comfortable. A seed does not grow because people are watching it. A seed grows because it's protected under the soil. It develops roots in darkness. It's built strength in silence. Nobody applauds a seed underground. Nobody congratulates it. But when it finally breaks through the surface, everybody notices the tree. Your goals are the same way. In the early stages, they are fragile. They need discipline. They need focus. They need work. They don't need opinions. When you move in silence, something powerful happens. You remove pressure. You remove outside noise. You remove the temptation to perform. You get to fail privately, learn privately, adjust privately. Failure is part of success, but it's easier to recover when the whole world is not watching. When you keep your goals to yourself, you give yourself room to grow without embarrassment. You give yourself space to experiment without judgment. And let me tell you something else. Some people are not clapping for you, they're collecting information. They want to know what you're doing so they can compete with you, copy you, or block you. The less access people have to your plans, the less power they have over your progress. Surprise is strength. When nobody knows your next level, nobody can prepare to stop it. Now, I'm not saying don't have accountability. You need mentors. You need trusted advisors. You need people who genuinely want to see you win. But that circle should be small, very small. Everybody does not deserve front row seats to your destiny. Access is earned, not given. The real flex is not announcing your dream. The real flex is achieving it. The real power move is disappearing for a while and coming back transformed. Let them wonder what you're doing. Let them question your silence. While they're talking, you're building. While they're scrolling, you're studying. While they're doubting, you're developing. And one day, when the results show up, when the goal becomes reality, when the vision turns into something tangible, you won't have to explain anything. You won't have to convince anybody. The proof will speak. So protect your big goals like they're gold. Guard them. Work on them. Feed them with action, not announcements. Because the quieter you build, the louder your success will sound. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about keeping your next move secret. There is power in unpredictability. There is strength in silence. And there is strategy in not letting everybody know what you're about to do. Too many people lose before they even start because they announce their next move to people who were never meant to know it. When you tell everybody your strategy, you give away your advantage. In life, in business, in relationships, in personal growth, timing is everything. If people know your next step, they can prepare for it. They can compete with it. They can criticize it. They can try to block it. But when you move quietly, when you operate behind the scenes, you control the narrative, you control the moment, and you control the surprise. See, some people don't want to see you lose. They just don't want to see you win before them. That's a different kind of energy. It's subtle. It smiles at you. It encourages you publicly. But privately, it hopes you slow down. And when you tell them your next move, you give that energy something to work with. You give doubt a target. You give negativity direction. Why would you hand someone the blueprint to your future? Moving in silence builds focus. When you're not busy explaining yourself, you're busy improving yourself. When you're not defending your plans, you're executing them. There's something powerful about waking up every day with a private mission. No announcements, no updates, just work. Real growth happens when nobody's watching. Real discipline is built when there's no audience. Another thing about keeping your next move secret is this: it protects your confidence. When you speak too soon, you invite opinions. And opinions are heavy. Some are supportive, but many are limiting. If 5 people tell you something won't work, and you're not fully grounded in your belief yet, you might start questioning yourself. You might hesitate, you might delay. And hesitation kills momentum. But when you move quietly, your only competition is your own consistency. You're not reacting to outside voices. You're not adjusting based on people's fears. You're building based on your vision. That kind of focus creates results that shock people. It creates progress that looks overnight, even though it took months or years behind closed doors. There's also a discipline that comes with silence. When you don't announce your next move, you remove the pressure to perform for approval. You're not chasing likes. You're not chasing validation. You're chasing excellence. And excellence doesn't need witnesses in the preparation stage. It only needs commitment. Surprise is a powerful tool. Think about it. The biggest victories feel bigger when nobody saw them coming. When people underestimate you, they relax. They don't prepare for you. They don't compete at your level because they don't know your level has changed. That's an advantage you should never give away cheaply. Now understand this clearly. Being silent doesn't mean being secretive out of fear. It means being strategic out of wisdom. There's a difference. Fear hides. Wisdom waits. Wisdom understands that not every room deserves your blueprint. Not every ear deserves your vision. Not every smile deserves your trust. When you master the art of quiet execution, you develop patience, you develop resilience, you develop inner confidence that doesn't depend on applause. And when the time is right, when the move is complete, when the results are undeniable, that's when you speak, not to brag, not to boast, but to let the work stand on its own. Move smart, move disciplined, move in silence, because the less people know about your next move, the less they can interfere with it. And the more focused you stay, the more powerful your outcome will be. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that makes people uncomfortable: keeping your income and financial plans secret. Money is powerful, not just because of what it can buy, but because of how it changes energy. The moment people believe you're making more, saving more, or planning bigger, something shifts. Expectations shift. Attitudes shift. Even relationships shift. That's why you have to be wise about who gets access to your financial world. When you start talking openly about your income, you invite comparison. Some people will measure themselves against you. Some will feel inspired, but others will feel insecure. And insecurity has a strange way of turning into jealousy. Jealousy doesn't always show up loud. Sometimes it shows up as distance. Sometimes as subtle negativity. Sometimes as quiet competition. Protecting your financial information protects your peace. There's another danger in exposing your financial growth too early. People begin to assign responsibility to you that you never agreed to carry. Suddenly you're the loan provider. You're the emergency fund. You're the solution to everybody's poor planning. And if you say no, you're selfish. If you hesitate, you've changed. That pressure can drain you mentally and financially. Wealth is not just about making money. It's about managing it wisely. And wisdom requires privacy. When you're building financially, especially in the early stages, your plans are fragile. You're learning about investing, you're studying opportunities, you're making adjustments. Not every move will be perfect. Not every idea will work. If you announce every investment, every business idea, every financial goal, you create unnecessary noise. People will question you, doubt you, give advice you didn't ask for, and too much outside input can confuse your direction. Silence creates clarity. When your financial strategy is private, you can focus. You can research without pressure. You can fail quietly and recover smarter. You can take calculated risks without feeling like the world is watching your balance sheet. Financial growth requires discipline, and discipline thrives in privacy. Another reason to keep your income secret is safety. Not everyone around you needs to know what you earn. Information is power. The wrong person with the wrong information can create real problems. Sometimes protection isn't about paranoia, it's about prudence. You worked hard for what you have. Guard it. Now understand this, being private about your money doesn't mean being stingy. It doesn't mean you don't help people. It means you help from a place of wisdom, not pressure. It means you give because you choose to, not because you feel obligated. True generosity is strongest when it comes from stability, not guilt. There's also something powerful about quiet wealth. When you don't feel the need to prove your success through possessions or announcements, you operate differently. You move with confidence instead of ego. You invest instead of impress. Too many people go broke trying to look rich. They want the applause. They want the image. But real financial success isn't loud. It's secure. Let people underestimate you. Let them think you're just doing okay. Meanwhile, you're saving. You're investing. You're planning. You're building assets. You're setting up a future that doesn't depend on approval. The quieter you build your financial foundation, the stronger it becomes. Money reveals character, but privacy protects it. When you keep your income and financial plans to yourself, you remove unnecessary drama. You remove comparison. You remove entitlement. And what you're left with is focus. Focus on growth. Focus on strategy. Focus on legacy. Because real wealth isn't about what people think you have. It's about what you quietly build, protect, and multiply when nobody's counting your pockets but you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go deeper. Keep your weaknesses secret. Now listen carefully, because this one requires balance. I'm not telling you to pretend you don't have flaws. I'm not telling you to walk around acting perfect. Every human being has weaknesses. Every successful person you admire has struggled with something. The key is not denying your weaknesses. It's being selective about who gets access to them. When you expose your vulnerabilities to the wrong people, you hand them ammunition. Not everybody who listens to your struggles is listening to help you heal. Some are listening to measure you. Some are listening to judge you. And some are listening so they can use that information later. That's the reality of the world we live in. Energy is not always pure. There's a difference between transparency and overexposure. Transparency builds trust in the right relationships. Overexposure creates risk in the wrong ones. If you tell everybody where you're insecure, where you lack confidence, where you've failed before, you may start to see those same weaknesses reflected back at you in moments that matter. People might remind you of your past when you're trying to step into your future. They might question your ability because they know your fear. Your weaknesses should be worked on quietly, not hidden out of shame, but protected during development. Think about it like this: when you're injured physically, you don't go back into the game immediately and show everyone where it hurts. You step aside, you treat it, you strengthen it, you recover, then you return stronger. Emotional and mental weaknesses deserve the same process. When you're battling self-doubt, when you're trying to build confidence, when you're overcoming bad habits, you need a safe environment. That environment is not social media. It's not the opinion of 20 different people. It's not casual conversations with acquaintances. It's a small circle. A mentor, a trusted friend, someone who genuinely wants to see you win and has proven their loyalty. Because here's the truth: the world respects strength. And strength isn't pretending you don't struggle. Strength is handling your struggle responsibly. It's saying, I'm working on this, instead of broadcasting, this is where I'm broken. Growth is powerful, but growth is fragile in the early stages. If you let too many opinions into your healing process, you can confuse yourself. You can start believing you're more damaged than you actually are. Another thing about weaknesses, if you constantly talk about them, you reinforce them. Words are powerful. What you repeat, you believe. If you keep telling people, I'm bad at this, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, those statements start shaping your identity. Instead of saying it publicly, work on it privately. Replace weakness with practice. Replace insecurity with preparation. And understand this clearly, some people don't forget what you confess, even after you've grown, even after you've improved. They'll still see the old version of you because that's the version you introduced them to. Sometimes your biggest growth requires distance from people who only know your past. This doesn't mean you build walls around your heart. It means you build wisdom around your mouth. You learn discernment. You learn that access to your vulnerability is earned. Not everyone deserves to see you at your lowest moments, and not everyone deserves to witness your rebuilding process. Work on yourself in private. Strengthen your mindset in private. Fix your habits in private. Seek help strategically. Grow intentionally. And when you step back into the spotlight, when you show up improved, disciplined, confident, people won't know how hard the battle was. They'll just see the strength. And sometimes that's exactly how it should be. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about keeping your good deeds secret. In a world where everything is posted, shared, recorded, and announced, quiet kindness has become rare. But there is power in doing good when nobody is watching. There is strength in helping someone without needing applause. And if you truly want lasting success in life, you must learn how to separate generosity from attention. See, when you do something kind and immediately announce it, the reward shifts. It stops being about the impact and starts being about the image. You're no longer just helping, you're performing. And when performance becomes the goal, sincerity begins to fade. Success built on image is fragile. Success built on character is solid. When you help someone privately, something happens inside you. Your heart grows. Your humility deepens. Your discipline strengthens. You remind yourself that you are blessed enough to give without needing validation. That kind of mindset builds inner confidence that no applause can replace. Because you know who you are, even if nobody else does. Another reason to keep your good deeds quiet is this: people can misunderstand your motives. No matter how pure your intentions are, someone will question them if you make them public. They'll say you're showing off. They'll say you're trying to buy respect. They'll say you're building a brand off charity. And now your kindness becomes a debate. That distraction steals the beauty of the act. When you give in silence, you remove the noise. The person you helped feels dignity instead of exposure. They don't feel like a prop in your story. They don't feel like content for your timeline. They feel respected. Real generosity protects the pride of the person receiving it. It doesn't highlight their struggle for your recognition. There's also something powerful about building a habit of quiet service. When nobody is clapping for you, your motivation has to come from within. That builds integrity. Integrity means you do the right thing whether people see it or not, and integrity is the foundation of long-term success. People may not always know what you've done, but they'll feel who you are. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you can't inspire others by sharing positive stories. There are moments when testimony has value, but the heart check is important. Ask yourself why you're sharing it. Is it to uplift or is it to impress? Is it to encourage or is it to collect praise? Your intention matters more than the action. Another thing about secret good deeds, they build spiritual strength. When you give without expecting recognition, you train yourself not to depend on external approval, and that freedom is powerful. Because if you don't need applause to give, you won't need applause to grow. You won't need applause to succeed. You'll operate from purpose, not performance. Success is not just about money, titles, or status. It's about who you become in the process. Quiet kindness shapes your character. It keeps you grounded when success starts to rise. It reminds you that no matter how high you climb, you still have a responsibility to lift others. And here's something beautiful. When you consistently do good in private, life has a way of rewarding you publicly. Not because you demanded it, not because you chased it, but because integrity has a ripple effect. Opportunities come. Respect grows, trust builds. And you didn't have to advertise a single act of kindness to receive it. So help quietly, give privately, support silently. Let your good deeds be between you and your conscience. Because when your success is backed by character, it doesn't just look good, it lasts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about keeping your personal life secret. This right here can save your peace, your focus, and sometimes even your future. In a world where everybody shares everything, privacy has become a rare form of power. People think if it's not posted, it's not real. But the strongest foundations are built where nobody can see them. Your personal life is sacred. Your relationships, your family, your struggles at home, your intimate conversations, those things are not for public consumption. The more people you invite into your private world, the more opinions you invite into your decisions. And opinions are heavy. They can influence you in ways you don't even realize. When you constantly share details about your relationship, for example, you open the door for commentary. If you're happy, people will analyze it. If you argue, people will judge it. If you go through a rough patch, suddenly everybody has advice. And here's the problem. Most of the people giving advice are not invested in the outcome. They're just invested in having an opinion. That noise can create tension where there was none before. Privacy protects stability. When your home life is peaceful, your mind is clear. And when your mind is clear, you can focus on your goals. But when your personal business becomes public discussion, it creates pressure. You start performing instead of living. You start making decisions based on perception instead of truth. Another thing about keeping your personal life secret is protection from envy. Not everybody celebrates your happiness. Some people compare it to their own lives. Some project their frustrations onto your situation. When too many people know the details of your joy, you risk exposing it to unnecessary negativity. And negativity, even subtle, can affect your energy. There's also strength in mystery. When people don't know everything about you, they respect boundaries. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. If you show the world that everything about you is accessible, don't be surprised when people feel entitled to comment on everything. But when you guard your private life, you send a message access is earned. Now understand this, keeping your personal life private doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you value it. It means you understand that not everything deserves an audience. Some moments are meant to be experienced, not displayed. Some conversations are meant to be felt, not filmed. When you live like that, your happiness becomes more authentic because it's not dependent on validation. Social media has created a culture where people feel pressure to prove they're happy, to prove they're loved, to prove they're winning. But real security doesn't need proof. If your relationship is strong, it doesn't need constant broadcasting. If your family is solid, it doesn't need public approval. The less you seek validation, the stronger your foundation becomes. And here's something important. When you go through difficult times, privacy gives you space to heal. If the whole world knows your struggles, you carry the extra weight of public opinion while trying to recover. Healing is hard enough without spectators. Protect your process. Your personal life fuels your public life. If your home is chaotic, your focus suffers. If your relationship is unstable, your confidence shakes. But when your private world is secure, you step into the world stronger. That security doesn't come from exposure. It comes from protection. So guard your peace. Guard your relationships. Guard your intimate details. Share with those who have proven loyalty, wisdom, and discretion. Not everyone deserves backstage access to your life. Because at the end of the day, success is easier to achieve when your personal world is protected. Privacy is not weakness. It is power. And the more you protect what's personal, the more stable your success will be.